Hey, good afternoon here, Tom Stewart. This is Smart Business Moves. Liz will be joining me sometime here later on in the stream, but at the moment she is tied up with some other commitment at the moment. She's temporarily indisposed, I guess we should say. So we'll be holding the fort here by myself for the first part of our discussion anyway. We've been having some discussions here over the last couple of weeks about various aspects and parts of our foundations program, the one that Liz, Derek, and myself share. And we're going to be continuing that today. We're going to be talking about KPIs. We're going to be sharing a new model, relatively new model that we came up with called pay, price, productivity, and efficiency, or PPPE model. Hey, Leslie, how are you doing today? Good to have you. We're going to be talking numbers, but this is going to be different. It's going to be fun. Let me pull up here what we're going to be doing for the rest of the week and next week as well before the day completely gets away from me here. Boom. Oh, stop that. This is our agenda for the 3-week period. And for those of you that were here yesterday, Derek shared SEO in plain English for us. We had some requests for some other languages, but we felt that we would stick with English. And that was a good discussion. I think it was useful. Hey, Linda, how are you today? For you guys who are joining late, just to let you know, Liz is on her way. She's temporarily indisposed at the moment, but should be joining us here shortly. Today, we're gonna talk about numbers a little bit. We're going to be talking about pay, price, productivity, and efficiency, and how those four numbers work together to drive profit. And it's a different look, but I think that you'll find it useful and have some takeaways that you can apply to your business. Liz is going to be with us tomorrow, and she's going to be talking about how to improve recruitment to improve retention. So that's kind of attacking it from both ends, because everybody's struggling to recruit people, but at the end of the day, the idea is to hire the right people and being able to keep them. So she's got some new information for us. She's going to be sharing on that. That would pretty much wrap us up for this week. So next week we would be jumping back into a discussion that Derek will be leading, talking about sales as a teachable skill, which is really kind of interesting, because a lot of us kind of think that you need to be born to be a salesperson, and a lot of it's about personality and behavior types and so forth. You know how Liz does disc assessments and uses that to determine behavioral characteristics. And I guess there are some disc profiles. At least the common convention is would make one a better salesperson than another. But I think there are a lot of examples that, regardless of what one's profile is, hey, Denise, how are you doing today? We're going to be showing that you can take just about anybody that has a drive and an interest to learn how to do sales. And a lot of it is just about the process. It's about the playbook. And if you follow the playbook step by step, it doesn't matter if you're charismatic. It doesn't matter if you're outgoing. You can be introverted. You can have a lot of different disc styles, if you will, and still be a successful salesperson by following the playbook. And Tuesday of next week, we're going to get back to KPIs again, and we're going to be demonstrating how stacking income through high frequency recurring revenue is an awesome way to build a house cleaning business, and share techniques that you can incorporate into your marketing plan, into your sales approach, into your scope of work, actually, the type of service that you offer that increases the probability that you're going to be able to take leads and turn them into high frequency recurring revenue. A lot of it is just setting the expectation up front in your marketing and your website and your communication plan to clients that or prospective clients that, any rational person would want recurring service for their home. And then you build upon that through the whole sales and onboarding and service delivery process. So that's what we're going to be doing. And we're going to be wrapping the series up Wednesday, or I guess it would be Wednesday of next week, by controlling your quality standards. And Liz is going to be leading that. I forgot to mention that Thursday of this week and Thursday of next week, we will be streaming and we'll be having shows. It's not going to be part of this foundation's introduction. It's going to be fun. And we've got some activities. We'll be doing Zoom and getting more people, on Zoom calls for those Thursday meetings. And, we might play a game. How about that? Well, I'll go as far as to share that. And some of us will be on the Zoom playing the game, and others of us might be watching the live stream, but it'll be a different experience. Just so everybody knows, if you're interested in foundations and more information about it, there's a website, and I'll drop the website in a link here in chat. And bottom line is, it's an awesome program. We spend a week at the beach. We're doing it this year, October 3 through 10. We spend a couple of days at our office, at Castle Keeper's office in Charleston as well. This location is Isle of Palms. It's a beachfront place. This picture actually doesn't do it justice. I've got a lot of other pictures I need to dig up to actually show. It's got a pool, and it's the ocean's out back, and it's really an awesome experience. And you're locked in a house for a week with other cleaning business owners, and it's immersive. And we've got a long list of people who've done this. This is the 11th time that we've done it, and I don't think there's a single person that's ever done this program that wouldn't tell you that it's a life-changing experience, that you'll build relationships and you'll make friends and you'll learn things about your business and about yourself, and take away things from this that will affect how you approach your business from that day forward. So it's really cool activity, and we're going to be sharing more about this over the days ahead. I'm going to try to dig up some pictures here. Maybe I can share later this week of more about the property and where it is, and how this whole program works. So for today's discussion, let me pull up my deck here. We are going to be talking about managing with numbers that matter. This is parts of this are a presentation I did for the Juneau Summit. Parts of this are from materials that we've used in Foundations past. We got a really cool spreadsheet I'll be able to show you here and kind of walk through some of the assumptions we're making in terms of how these numbers play together, and how by measuring these numbers in your business, you can predict outcomes. And then you can play what if analysis with these numbers to determine what your outcomes would be if you're able to, say, increase your bill rate or increase your productivity, or through making operational changes, basically lower your pay as it relates to revenue, or improve your efficiency, basically out of the day that somebody is working, actually get more cleaning time out of that and reduce the amount of windshield and meeting time. So the agenda for today. we're going to start by just taking kind of a high level view of the 5 steps of making money in your house cleaning business. And this is an evolution that I've observed over the years that every cleaning business goes through. And when you're first starting out, your focus and interest and needs are in one place. And as you grow, your business changes and your priorities change and how you run your business changes. We're going to talk about that. Then we're going to jump in and actually talk about the pay, price, productivity, and efficiency model, or the PPPE model. Because we've talked about PPP a lot, we've talked about PPE a lot. So we figured, hey, what the heck? Let's just jam it all together and do PPPE. This is completely different. It has nothing to do with SBA loans, and it has nothing to do with personal protective equipment. It has to do with those 4 metrics, pay, price, productivity, and efficiency, and how they all relate together to drive outcomes in your business. I'm going to talk about gross profit and why that's important, and then I'm going to show you our spreadsheet, and we're going to do, I guess the technical term for it is sensitivity analysis, but that's just a fancy word for doing what if analysis. So your numbers are what your numbers are, but if you can put them into a model, you want to be able to say, well, what if I raised my bill rate for $5 an hour? How would that impact revenue, gross profit, and the amount of money I'm making? Well, a model like this will do that for you. So the 5 steps in making money in your cleaning business, pretty much spelled out here. The first step is you want to grow the number of homes you're cleaning. It's kind of funny. Through the coaching work that we've done over the years, on certainly more than one occasion, we've had students that are participating in our programs have gone through foundations, as a matter of fact, who had never cleaned a house, or their company had never cleaned a house. They were starting from scratch. They wanted to do foundations so they would start out the right way and know what they needed to know about the business to be successful, which is rational. It's a good thing to do. The problem was they hadn't cleaned anything yet. And the focus was, we need to write manuals, we need to get our training materials together, we need a marketing plan, we need to build our website, we need to find some office space, we got to figure out, what equipment we're going to get, what chemicals we're going to use, what our pay plan is going to be. And it just kind of goes on forever, and days turn into weeks, it starts to turn into months, and home 1 hasn't been cleaned yet. So you're not really in the cleaning business till you start cleaning something. So you start by focusing on cleaning homes. And for anybody who has started a business from scratch and been successful, that is where the focus is. But shortly, the focus should change from just the number of homes you're cleaning to, what is the revenue you're getting for the homes that you're cleaning? Not only is it important to clean homes, but you want to be cleaning homes that are properly priced to give you the opportunity to generate the gross profit off of those homes that you need in order to have a successful business. Because if they aren't priced right, for those of you who have seen some of our earlier presentations on KPIs, know that if it's not priced right, it's almost impossible for you to have a competitive direct loaded payroll to revenue, in which case you're going to clean a lot of homes and not have much money to show for it. So the second part is growing revenue per home. The third step, and I've got a slide on each one of these, we're going to get in details, I just want to go through these real quick, is to grow your gross profit per home. And again, for those of you who have been with us in sessions like this past, gross profit is really the magic number and the thing that we want to be driving up, certainly as a percentage of revenue. There's operating expenses, your fixed expenses, if you guys remember that. So the fourth step is really focusing on the other expenses in your business to make sure that as much of that gross profit as you're generating translates into net profit. And then finally, if you're making money, at some point, you really need to be thinking about, well, what am I going to be doing with that money? And, you need to be thinking about building wealth and investing it and doing, smart things with it where, it accumulates over time, and you're minimizing your tax liability as you're doing it. And, I mean, those are whole another discussions, but those should be the evolutions of any cleaning business. And you can look at a business and by asking a few questions, kind of figure out where they are in that spectrum. We're all on that spectrum somewhere. So the first is to grow the number of homes that we clean, and that's kind of a sales activity. We talk about the whole sales funnel where you get leads and you take a lead and you do a quote, and you might wind up with some type of campaign where you're nurturing those leads, and eventually some of them are going to decide to do business with you. Out of those, a smaller number of them are going to make a decision to do business with you on a long-term basis, signing up for some recurring frequency. Ideally, it would be, some high frequency, getting their home cleaned every other week or every week. And, you might even have upsell opportunities for through, that whole process. So it's generating leads, it's closing sales, and it's retaining recurring clients. Customer retention is a huge part of that. The whole discussion of what is the lifetime value of a recurring client. And if you remember, we measure our turnover rate as a percentage of monthly percentage of the homes we lose divided by all the recurring homes that we have. And if you take the inverse of that, whatever that percentage is, and divide it into 1, that gives you the number of months that a recurring client does business with you on the average. For instance, losing 5% of your recurring clients a month is not a bad baseline. It's not uncommon to see that. So if you have a 5% turnover rate on your recurring clients, that means your average recurring client is going to be doing business with you for 20 months. So then you can kind of do the math to figure out what their lifetime value is. So what are some of the numbers from a KPI perspective that would be important to a business that is in phase 1, where we're just trying to grow the amount of homes that we're cleaning? As we said, leads per month obviously is an important number. It all starts with having the opportunity to sell somebody something. The number of quotes that we're able to get out of those leads. In this example, we're saying 80% of the quotes we're getting, of the leads rather that we're getting, we're actually quoting. That number can vary greatly depending upon your business model and where your leads are coming from. If you're getting leads primarily from, customer referrals and things like that, you're going to quote just about all of them. If you're getting leads from, lead generation sources like, Home Advisor and stuff like that, where they're taking that same lead and farming it out to several cleaning companies, then you probably are, going to be quoting a much smaller portion of those because they're not, as qualified or as motivated. Another number that you would be interested in managing on phase 1 would be recurring close rate per quote. So out of the quotes that you're doing, you're going to actually close a percentage of them. And then out of the ones that you close, what is your retention rate on those? So all of these are important metrics for a company that is in phase 1. You want to know the amount of leads you're getting per month. You want to know what your quote per lead rate is. You want to know what your recurring close rate is per quote. You want to know what your customer retention rate is. Guess what? These are also important numbers to know if you're in phase 2, 3, 4, 5. So as your business grows, it's not a matter of, well, these numbers don't matter anymore and I need to focus on the other numbers. The numbers in phase 1 are going to be important to you regardless of what phase you're in. But starting out, these are the most important numbers. So then you get to phase 2. And phase 2 is the growth of revenue for the homes that you clean. So we talk about increasing the service frequency, trying to get people who are just wanting one-time cleaning to take recurring service. You want to control the skips. Skip rate is an important metric, at this point. What percentage of your recurring clients just don't get their home cleaned on any particular day because I'm out of town, just go ahead and skip my cleaning and come the week after next at your normal time. Well, that's lost revenue. You can see that skip rate of 10% or more in some companies. So that can be a material amount and needs to be measured and needs to be controlled. By the way, if anybody has any questions, please don't be bashful about jumping in and asking. We can certainly stop and take questions throughout our discussion. Upsell opportunities are certainly important. Another way to generate additional revenue. Being able to accurately predict the time that it's going to take to clean a home. We call that the allowed time. Is really important for so many reasons, because if you're able to predict how long it's going to take to clean a home, you're able to price it more accurately to make sure that you're getting as much money for that home as you should be. You're able to schedule more tightly, more efficiently, so you're able to use the day to generate more revenue out of every hour that you're paying your technicians. It's a number that we use in many ways within our business, that we need to be able to do that, and that's important at when you're in step 2 of this process. And you want to be able to consistently raise your rates. You want to make sure that at least on an annual basis, you're kind of doing an audit, a review of your pricing, take a look at the market, take a look at what your costs are, take some assessment as to where labor is going, and adjust your rates accordingly, and do like an annual rate increase for your existing customers. So these are what those numbers look like. Allowed rate, the bill rate for allowed hour is an important metric at the second phase of growth. The number of jobs per month per home. Your price per upsell opportunity, where you're just adding on like cleaning appliances and windows and deep cleans and things like that are all an important metric to be measuring. Upsells per jobs, how many jobs do you actually, what percentage of your jobs do you actually get to do these upsells for, is a number that you want to be measuring at this stage. And your rate increase, your annual rate increase, is certainly a number that you want to be watching. So level 3, I have no idea what that is for. Level 3 is the gross profit. And this is really where things start to get interesting. And quite honestly, this is where a lot of companies struggle. When you're starting out, the idea is getting more homes to clean. Companies are usually pretty good at that. Companies are usually pretty good at, once they kind of get the ball rolling, to kind of figure out what their competitors are charging and kind of charge the same rates. And it's somewhere along the line, you get pretty good at figuring out what your, how long it's going to take to clean a home. When you get to this point, though, when you're really looking at the gross profit, this is where things get tricky. And this is where, this is really where the money is made, because we get to improve productivity at this point. And we talked about this at the beginning of the year as well, where training is an important part of improving productivity. And productivity basically is a function of, the amount of time that you think it's going to take to clean a home divided by the actual time it takes to clean the home. And if you're able to constantly have productivity at greater than 100%, then you're going to be more competitive. You're going to be more profitable. Tools, having the right tools is another way of increasing productivity. There's certain products that just clean better, that you can clean, certain vacuum cleaners that will allow you to clean more square footage of carpet, per minute than others. Certain cleaning agents, chemicals that do a better job than others. So a lot of times when we're selecting these tools and equipment, our priority needs to be productivity. Which tools, which chemicals are going to allow us to clean as quickly as possible within bounds of reasonability. It doesn't even matter what you're paying for them. You're going to save that money if it's saving you labor time. It's all about saving the labor time. Tools such as aprons or productivity enhancement tools that, should be part of the mix. A committed workforce, obviously, is part of it as well. You want to have compensation plans that motivate your cleaning professionals to be as productive as possible. Paying based on commission or paying based on, job ticket hour, which is, basically just determining the allowed hours for a home and paying an hourly rate for those allowed hours, regardless of how long it actually takes the technician to clean the home. If you think it's going to take 3 hours to clean the home, and you might want to pay $20 an hour for just the allowed time, and you pay $60 to clean the home, and if they get it done in 2.5 hours, they still get $60. But if it takes 3.5 hours, they still get $60 for the home. So those types of incentive programs will help with productivity as well. Improved efficiency is another dimension of this. Let's see. Denise got a comment here. Excited for F11. Can't wait to get her numbers in order. Well, you will. I promise you will. And there's going to be work that we're going to be doing before October to kind of help with that as well. But there's a ton of number, crunching that we'll be doing during that week as well. And we're going to be talking about these things like productivity and efficiency. And again, efficiency is the time that technicians spend actually cleaning homes divided by the entire workday, the time on the clock. So we want efficiency to be as close to 100% as possible. But if you're cleaning multiple homes in a day, there's always going to be a certain amount of drive time and so forth. So you want to schedule in a way where drive time is minimized. So you want to group your jobs together, your homes together in a way where you're zoning it out and you're minimizing drive time, and create incentives for your clients to be flexible in terms of how you schedule them, so you can move them around and cluster them in a way to reduce the drive time. Part of that is managing clients' expectations. If you can get your clients to understand how they benefit by helping you be more efficient. You want them to be spending more time cleaning their home, not time looking out of a windshield going from job to job. And by helping you be more efficient, you can be more cost effective. And you're more cost effective, it helps you contain your rates. And you can actually make that pitch that you can make more money and you can save the customers money if you guys work together to reduce the drive time and the other non-productive time. And again, a committed workforce here as well. Need to be committed to try to get the homes cleaned as quickly as possible and still meet the scope of work, but also want to be committed to use our time between jobs as efficiently as possible. The final number here is the loaded pay per clock hour, loaded direct payroll from our previous discussions. So there's a lot of ways that we can do that. Safety programs are important, because if we have accidents, our workers' comp goes up, and that takes our loaded pay and can make it go up materially. And that's just money that we're spending that we don't have to. So we certainly want to manage loss runs, is kind of the industry term for accidents that the insurance company has. So we want to manage those and keep them low. Unemployment claims or other parts of the labor load that we, don't want to lose unemployment claims. As a rule, try not to fire people. More times than not, in this industry, if it's not working out, you can talk to them and they'll agree that maybe they need to find another job and they'll quit, so you don't have to terminate them. If you do have to terminate them, make sure that you have everything properly documented and walk them through a process. So if you have a claim, you can defend it and it won't count against your unemployment loss run. And just reduce employee turnover. This is probably the biggest one out of this category, because turnover results in having to hire more people and having to onboard more people and having to train more people. And if you're going to lose somebody, more times than not, it's going to be somebody that you just hired, and that can drive your loaded direct payroll on the clock hour basis up in a material way. So we want to manage that. So here are some of the numbers. Productivity, allowed hours divided by job hours. Efficiency is another number that we want to manage. And the average loaded pay per clock hour, we want to keep that number down. And again, we can do that through, safety and managing unemployment claims. And there's the productivity. All of that plays into that. Growing the net profit, that's basically controlling what I call the non-strategic operating expenses. Um, you can say that I'm gonna lower my expenses by eliminating my marketing budget. Well, you can do that, and at the moment, it's going to make it look like you're generating more net profit, but in the long run, it's going to hurt you. So you want to be strategic, and you want to be thinking about long run. And if you're going to be cutting expenses, if you can find, you know, cheaper office space that still meets your needs, if you can. Look at your business model maybe and do more, solos, reduce the amount of cars that you need to have. I mean, those are some things that you can do. There's a lot of strategies you can take, but, and if you're going to, your marketing, you need to measure. That's a whole nother discussion. But, just not spending anything on operating expense can basically, do more harm than good from a net profit standpoint. You need to have operating expenses. You just need to be applying them strategically. We talk about that a fair amount at Foundations. We do a deep dive on that. Don't want to, what I'm saying here is don't cut your expenses that control growth, that contribute to growth. You want to automate where you can. If you can make an investment in technology that actually automates and helps you get better outcomes in other ways. Technology is not a commodity. If you're really going to be looking at technology, you want to be looking at that in the perspective of what's going to get you the best outcome. It's just like your cleaning products and your cleaning agents. Hey, Liz, how are you? You're muted.
I know. I don't know why.
Okay, we can hear you.
All right, good. I can hear you now too. Ooh, I like your little graphic here, Tom. Looks like I'm missing out on some good stuff here, huh?
Yeah, we're kind of going through the stages of growth of a cleaning business, and just for your benefit, we start off just cleaning homes, and then we need to kind of dial in, making sure that we're charging the right amount. Then we do the things to increase our gross profit, which is the whole cost of goods sold thing. Then we talk about net profit, and that's kind of where we are now. And, we don't want to be spending money in the operating expense side that's not strategic, that's not helping us be more profitable, but at the same time, cutting our marketing budget, completely. And there's a lot of things that you can do to make more money, next month, but in the long run, it's going to hurt you. So you need to spend money here. You just need to spend it strategically. So what you been up to, Liz? We missed you. You're muted. You're muted. Can't hear you.
All right, try again. All right, well, it has been a crazy week already for me. I am doing the certified high performance coaching that Brendan Burchard offers. So I'm super overwhelmed and excited and tired and but I'm learning a ton, and I really can't wait to put some of this new stuff into practice. So anyway, people didn't come here to hear about what I'm doing. I know they really, and everybody's loving the whole numbers thing. So hate to pull everybody away. I'm loving all your new slides, Tom.
He's good, huh?
Yeah, really
classy.
Nice. Yeah, super nice.
Okay, so the final stage, once you've figured out how to get homes to clean and figured out how to price them and figure out how to, manage the whole variable cost thing to maximize gross profit, and then strategically handle the operating expense side to get net profit, is in time you're going to find out that net profit keeps getting bigger and bigger, and you're going to have a bunch of money, and you got to figure out what to do with it in a wise way. So a lot of things you can do. You can invest it back into your business. You can buy office space, for instance, as opposed to rent. You can acquire other businesses. You can diversify. You can just get into the real estate business in general. There's other things that you can invest in. You can buy Bitcoin. You can do whatever you want to do. But the fact of the matter is, that needs to be part of your thinking. And tax liability is part of it as well, because once you start making money, you're going to find that you're going to be giving a bigger and bigger chunk of it to the Internal Revenue Service. There's all kinds of strategies, and this is stuff that Derek spends a fair amount of time talking about in terms of how to take the profit that you're generating and putting it in 401ks and other types of investments where the tax liability is either non-existent or at least it's deferred, where you'll have to pay it at some point in the future, presumably at a time where the percent of the tax would be less, would be more modest. So let's take a minute and talk about PPPE. We're talking about pay, price, productivity, and efficiency.
I can't be the only one that's like, every time I hear this, I have this whole thing that goes on in my head around, are we talking about the PPP? Are we talking about personal protection equipment? Like, what are we talking about here?
Well, it's we kind of take advantage of the fact that PPP is something we talk about on a regular basis. The deadline for the second round of that, by the way, has been extended from the end of March to the end of May. So if you haven't applied for your second round yet, if you qualify, you got a little more time to do it. Certainly take a hard look at that, and if you think you can rationalize that you do qualify, I would. It can be very helpful. It's
I love
free money from the government
for so long. I didn't know they extended it for 2 full months. That's awesome.
They did. You've got to the end of May now to apply for it.
Very cool. Very cool. Is there any reason why people would not want to take advantage of the PPP, Tom?
The only reason would be if you didn't qualify, and you have to show a diminution of income quarter over quarter over the course of 20 versus year 2020 versus year 2019. Is it 25% or 20?
I can't even remember.
I can't either, because the employee retention tax credit, you had to show a diminution of income as well. Although there were other stipulations with that, where if the government said you had to close and some other things, you could apply. You could qualify for those even if your income didn't drop that much. I think it's 25%. It's either 20 or 25.
Linda, Denise, Leslie, I may know if it was 2025. So really, though, you're thinking if you qualify, you should be getting this money. There is no reason not to apply for the money if you qualify, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
If you qualify, the bank basically kind of looks at your numbers, and if they say you qualify, they submit it to the SBA, and the odds are pretty good you'll get it. And then you have to go through, use it the way that's intended to be used. But if you do, then it'll be forgiven. So at that point, you don't have to pay it back.
One thing that is weird, Tom, is my first PPP. I put in for forgiveness, and every week I'm getting an email saying that it's under review, it's under review, it's under review. I'm like, just to prove it, you're making me nervous stretching it out every week. Have you heard of that from anybody?
Do you get? So they're proactively telling you that we're still reviewing it.
Yeah, every single week. I'm like, hey, just to prove it.
So this is at the bank. They haven't passed it on to the SBA yet.
Oh, you know what? You're so smart, Tom, because you're right. That's exactly what's happening. It's just at the bank. It's still at the bank level.
25% reduction of income quarter over quarter. For most of us, that's quarter two. Most of us saw the biggest hit in quarter two. That was when things started getting real crazy and businesses were being shut down, and we're having all the discussions about we essential businesses, and we really didn't understand very much about what COVID was and how it spread, and nobody wanted to go, have any people in their home. It was that's our best bet. But if you can show a 25% drop in income, your 2020 top line revenue versus your 2019, you qualify, and you want to apply.
A higher training pay with an improved training program. Yes, smart. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, training is, well, Tom, you and I, we talked about this, and actually Derek too. We have a lot of people that are paying full price for foundations right off the bat instead of making payments like they typically do because they have PPP money. And really, we actually said amongst ourselves, how smart is that? I mean, really, that is one of the smartest things to do, is to invest in your company, invest in training. How many other things do you get as big of a return on your investment as you do with training? I mean, I know, and I'm not trying to sell the program, y'all, because actually we're booked up. So it's not what's happening right now. I just think that that's really smart to be investing in training.
So we're all sold out, right? So we're not selling. So
well, we're sold out. But
can I stop talking about it?
No. Okay. Absolutely not. Because we were talking with Heather about maybe, hey Paul, about maybe finding a way to like double up people in rooms or something, because Paul, we need a chef.
Yeah, my goodness, we got to find some solution. We'll work something out, Paul. There's maybe a sofa or something left. We'll figure something out.
I'm still talking about all the food that you made. I'm excited that you're in too, Susan. This is going to be our biggest foundations by far to date. We're actually trying to work on logistics and how we're going to fit all the people into all the different rooms. And, so we're going to be making some modifications. Well, we have to modify every single year because we have to modify content, obviously. I was really thinking that I was going to be able to get, when we first set this up, that I was going to be able to get away with maybe 10% modification to my presentations. And then COVID. What the heck? So at this point, anybody that's been to foundations before and saw my content, this is going to all the alumni, all of my content is going to be new. About 90% of my content has to change and shift because COVID. So your stuff doesn't really have to shift all that much, does it, Tom?
Well, it's evolved. There's some new stuff. I mean, I'm sharing a little bit of it here. We've done this. We built this model since the last foundations class.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Because you did it at
this was Juno.
Genius. Oh no, Juno.
We did this for Juno. And the concept we've used internally for a long time. If you remember, we would like open a branch and we use this to kind of peg, our goals and what we needed to do. And we weren't getting there quick enough. We do the whole what if analysis to figure out where do we want to adjust, but we never really put it in the class and shared it.
Yeah. All right. Cool. It's new. Lots of new stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a few things more in the deck here, but you guys have wired in enough. This guy is Willie Sutton. He's a bank robber from, I guess, the 20s or the 30s. And when he was arrested by the FBI, a reporter asked him, "Why do you rob banks?" And he says, "That's because I rob banks because that's where the money is, right?" And for us, the money is primarily in this direct labor expense thing, which is that cost of goods sold, which is that loaded direct payroll to revenue. So if we were thinking like Willie Sutton and we wanted to go to where the money is, we really want to attack this direct labor expense. And we've talked about, the P&L and how to do the whole COGS and gross profit and operating expense to get your net profit. We know how to do that. We understand this. We've seen this ad nauseum. Liz, have we seen this enough?
I feel like we have, but every once in a while we get new people on here that are like, wow,
that's true. We can go back and look at the old videos. We've talked about this before. Where's Robin? Robin, do we need to go?
No, but go back a slide, Tom, real quick, if you would. And the reason I wanted you to come back a slide here is this is something that we don't show very often. We don't show when the COGS are getting a little bit unwieldy and what that can look like and how it can impact things. And yep, Robin's like, don't need to do that again.
He's done with that.
No. Robin, did you get the DEVs I sent you? I hope you got the link because I know it was a little bit tough to get into with the zip file. Let me know if you need me to change that out. Okay, but back to this. I was wondering, Tom, like we talk a lot about, like your Willie Sutton thing, go to where the money is, right? And so we talk about COGS, but like when your COGS are at 62%, isn't that kind of a scary place to be? What we have seen in the past is where people will start sort of going into this denial thing, where they just sort of stop looking at the problem altogether. Well, look and see, Robin. I sent it by Messenger. And so I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about, when your COGS are going out of control. We've already talked ad nauseum, I would think, about how to manage that. But what about just managing the fear around that, or the idea that you don't have to be afraid? It's, just there are things to do. You can fix it.
Well, what's scary is when the number is high, or let's back off a little bit. What's really scary is you're cleaning homes week after week after week, and you don't have enough money to cover payroll and the other expenses, and you don't know why. So once you understand why, then you can understand, well, these are the things that I can do to get a better outcome. And that, it's, you're managing your business at that point. And, so your cost of goods sold is huge. If it's too high, I don't care what you do, you're not going to make money. You're going to be miserable. Your jobs are going to suck. Your customers are going to hate you, and you're not going to want to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but truly, you can't build a healthy, strong business without controlling this number here. Yeah. The 62% is getting up there. It would be a problem area that you'd want to address. And there's a long list of things that you can do about that once you are able to get your profit and loss statement in this format. You can actually see the number and say, okay, well, now I understand why I'm working so hard and don't have anything to show for it. So we can implement strategies to attack it. And
Susan, to answer your question, this example that Tom's showing could be for any time frame. The awesome thing about a P&L is that you could pick it for that number that we just saw. That could have been a large company's month, could have been a large company's week, a very large company's week, could be a smaller company's year. It could be a 6-month time frame. It could be any time frame, which is so awesome about your P&L. You can, change those dates. So it could be any time frame.
I believe the spirit in which this was done would have been like a monthly P&L. Normally, when it comes to P&Ls, you can run them for any time frame, and for certain circumstances, it's useful maybe to run them on a week-to-week basis to calculate what your revenue was last week and the payroll was this week, because if you do like a weekly payroll, the checks that go out this Friday were for the revenue that you generated last week. So you would divide that payroll by last week's revenue to figure out what your payroll to revenue is. And you can do that for a series of weeks. You can, like if I'm sitting here in the middle of March, I might go back and look over the last 3 months and run a P&L showing each week and jump it in a spreadsheet and do that math. And those are the kind of the exercises that we go through in foundations as well to figure out what your payroll to revenue number is trending. This is a company that's
sorry, Tom.
this is a company that's doing north of $1 million a year, and for this particular month they did $100,000 in revenue.
So I had two things that I really want to say. First thing is, it doesn't really matter like what this time frame is. The bigger point that Tom's making is pull your P&L, right? Yeah. Just pull it, whatever.
Look at it every month. And if it doesn't look like this with your cost of goods sold at, you get your revenue at the top and below it, you got your cost of goods sold. And if it doesn't have a number here that says gross profit, then you need to go back and whoever is your bookkeeper, does your accounting, sets up your QuickBooks, and you need to say, hey, I want my P&L to look like this. And if you can't get that done, come to Foundations and we'll show you how to do it. We'll help you do it. We'll do it with you.
And for you specifically, Susan, because you are signed up for Foundations, at the beginning of April, you're going to be joining the MMA groups. So we track this in the MMA groups. We have a way to track it daily. You don't have to track it daily, but until you get familiar with it, we will encourage you to start tracking this information on 5 numbers on a daily basis until you're like, oh my gosh, I know that number. And you feel comfortable pulling it. Because that's usually the biggest thing, is just getting over the, oh, it's so hard thing. Yeah, you're going to love it, Susan. So yeah, the beginning of next month, it's going to be a lot of work. So I know you're excited, but just be ready. Linda, tell her how much work it's going to be.
Okay. It might not feel like it, Liz, but we're close to being to the top of the hour here.
Oh, sorry, Tom. I missed you.
Here, just quickly, I promised that I would show how all this works within the PPPE model. If you remember, the whole green numbers go up, red numbers go down. So the numbers that we really adjust are over here. And if you've got a business with an average bill rate of $35 an hour with an efficiency factor of 75%, which means over an 8-hour day, you're typically cleaning 6 hours and you're driving around 2, because 6 divided by 8 is 75. And if your average loaded pay rate per clock hour is $18, then depending on what your productivity factor is, and also your average allowed hours per job is 3, and you've got an operating expense of $5,000, and those are variables you can play around with as well. For these various productivity factors and for these levels of monthly revenue, this is how much money you would make or you wouldn't be making. So, for example, if I'm at 90% productivity and $21,000 a month in revenue, I'm breaking even. So the real important part of it is, how much revenue you're generating in a month. You get things that you can do to drive that number up, and there's things that you can let happen that'll let that number go down. But sitting here right now, you can probably predict at a fairly decent level how much revenue you're generating next month. So you go down here and say, well, I'm generating maybe $20,000 a month. So I would go here, and that's almost 20. That's 19,950. And I would go look across here and say, okay, well, if I'm billing $35 an hour and 75% efficiency, and if, say, my productivity is at 100%, I'm making $1,200 that month, $1,270. But maybe that's not enough, because maybe I got other bills to pay, and I've got a mortgage and a bunch of stuff. Maybe I need to make $3,000. Well, what does that look like? well, maybe I can get my bill rate up to 40 if I do that. Actually, it was the number of jobs per month that we were doing. Let me go back to that. And Arizona, if I do 100, make it 200 jobs a month. And if I go across here and I got a productivity of 100, then I'm making 1,600. But say I need $3,000 for the month to make it work. Maybe I need more than that. If I bump this up to 40, and if I go back to my 200 and I'm still at 100% productivity, I'm up to 4,600. So just by raising my bill rate per hour $5, I've made, and basically more than double the amount of money that I'm making. If I can do some training, I might be able to get my productivity up to 110%. So I'm up to about $6,000. And if I start scheduling a little bit better and I can get my efficiency factor up to 80%, and I work on my workers' comp and get this down to $17 an hour. Oops, that's a little too low. 17, and I'm still stuck at the 200, jobs a month though, and I'm at 110%. That's 7,500. You might be able to live off of that. Certainly a lot easier than you could in 1,600, right? So if you're not making the money you need to make, you don't, it can be scary. But if you understand the numbers that are driving it, you know where to spend your time in order to fix it.
And that it's not just about getting more customers. A lot of times we fool ourselves into thinking that's the answer when it might not be.
And there's more here in terms of percent profit, and there's a growth model, and all that's for another day. But just an example of how those basic KPIs are really important in terms of understanding how you're making money, and those are the ones that you want to manage and the ones that you want to drive in the right direction. It's not about how many homes you clean; it's about how much money you make doing it.
Yes, net profit. I love that. I think that's one of the things I really love about that PPPE spreadsheet that you share, Tom, because nobody really talks about net profit. They're always talking about the top line, how much money you're bringing in. But
conversion rates, how many leads are you getting, how many, all that. And all, conversion rate is important. I mean, that's a contributing factor. But that's not where it ends. That's just where it starts.
Yeah, absolutely. Not that bottom. And when people are talking about the bottom line, right? They're literally talking about the bottom line on the P&L, y'all. Isn't that
the bottom
cool?
line is the bottom line, isn't it?
Bottom line is the bottom line, right? Which I always kind of liked. So thanks for everybody that is on here today. Thanks for letting me ramble. It's been a rough day, and I kind of missed everybody in Smart Business Moves, so I appreciate that.
It's been a rough day?
It has been a rough day for me. I was up early today. You all know I get up early anyway. I normally am up at 4:15, and today I was up at 3:45, so it's been a rough day.
Yeah, this wasn't one of my most awesome days either, but we're here, and it's all good.
Oh, Paul, ending the call on a high note. It's not what you make, it's what you take.
There you go. I like that. That's awesome, Paul.
Tom,
Paul, you make me happy.
That's awesome, Paul. Thank you for that. That was an awesome share.
Okay, guys. It's top of the hour. I dropped the link to Foundations. I'm not sure what that means. Liz is telling me that it's sold out, but
Don't register right now.
So anyway, we'll be back tomorrow. Liz is going to have an awesome presentation for us. And Thursday, we're going to do something fun. I went as far as to say we're going to play a game, Liz.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about that.
We're going to do a Zoom call, and it's going to be, we're not going to dress up in green and, drink green beer or anything, but can I bring out my Teletubby suit, or what was it?
Not Teletubby.
Air Bear.
Although Teletubby would be fine too.
Okay, guys. We'll see you here tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern. Bye-bye.